Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Brentwood. We will start today with an invocation from Bart King, and then our pledge and four-way test will be led by Alan Treadway.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you, and it's good to be here. As we go to the Lord in prayer, on our prayer list, we have Bill McCarthy, Dan Jordan, Leon Partain, and Bob Bellinfond. And we need to especially lift up Charlie Wilson, who is the son of Chris Wilson, who broke his leg and had surgery. And we need to keep him in our thoughts and prayers. Also, if any of you have something on your heart, on your mind, that you need to pray for and pray about, this is a good time. So we will be lifting you up as well. So let's go to the Lord in prayer. Almighty God, thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you, Lord, for love. Thank you for patience and for understanding. And thank you, Lord, for coming into our lives and for being a part of us and for showing us the right way and showing us the path of righteousness. And thank you, Lord, even for creating us in your likeness and in your image. And in each of us, we become a soul. And within that soul, there's a spirit that floats around and away all through our bodies. And someday that spirit will float away to eternity. Praise your name. Lord, we come to you oftentimes with burdens, with griefs, with heartaches and sorrows and disappointments. And you listen to us. You always hear our prayers. You're always there for us. You want to hear from us. You want us to talk to you. And Lord, we pray that there will never be hesitation in coming to you. Pray, Lord, that we can go back to the foot of the cross and realize and know what you did for us and for the love you have for us and the comfort we have in loving you and you loving us. Go with us this day. Help us to walk in the paths of righteousness and be who you would have us to be. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Join me in the pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with justice for all. Now the four-way test. First, is it true? Second, is it very all concerned? Third, will it build friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And now we'll ask our Secretary, Steve Hammers, to introduce guests and visiting Rotarians.
All right, we got four visitors here today. Lewis Rankin, Lewis, oh, there you are. Lewis has two guests, but he's going to introduce our speaker later. But he's got somebody else to introduce.
Wheeler is the Vice President of Advancement at Cumberland University. She and I work together quite a bit in that I'm the development chairman, so we work together quite a bit. So she does a great job too.
Welcome, welcome, Courtney. Norris has a guest. Who's been a long time Rotarian.
Yes, let me introduce Dave Snedek. Dave is a manager with ServPro, and he's a past Rotarian also in West Palm Beach. So welcome, Dave.
Y'all be nice to him. He's considering us. All right, Jeff Brown. There you go. Jeff's got somebody.
I'd like to introduce Grant Martin. Grant is the Chief Development Officer for Williamson Heritage Foundation, which includes the Franklin Theater. And he's a Rotarian, has been for quite some time. So I'm going to let Grant just say a brief introduction.
We're happy to be here. Rotary's been a part of my life. I've been doing what I've been doing for 30 years, and I think I've been in Rotary for a little bit over 28 years. So my hope is to get back involved with the club, because as a development officer working for a nonprofit, I'm always asking for something. Rotary always gives me an opportunity to give back. So look forward to seeing you in the future. Congratulations.
All right, thank you, Grant. Thank you for all the visitors.
Great. And now I'm going to try to do the Rotary Minute without my reading glasses, which I forgot today. So our Rotary Minute is about, I think I can do it. Our Rotary Minute today is about Rotary Leadership Institute, which is a 3-day course in all things Rotary. It's a grassroots multi-district leadership development program. The 3 days are not consecutive. That's on purpose so that you can go back to your club and gain some perspective on what you learned sort of between those classes. It includes education about the history of Rotary, brainstorming on where Rotary could go and how you can improve your club. It also teaches leadership skills that are different than those leadership skills that we learn in our professions, because leading a civic club is not the same as being a leader in your company. So it's a great program. And even if you don't have a desire to be a club leader, you'll still come away with a better understanding of the organization that you've chosen to be a part of. And also just skills that will translate into other areas of your life. And I'm pretty sure that you'll leave with some new friends too. So participation also helps clubs keep people in the pipeline that can step up and become club leaders. We don't yet have the exact, all of the dates for our district's Rotary leadership training sessions, but thanks to our district insider, Susie, we do know that on September 17th, all 3 sections, 1, 2, and 3 will be offered in Dixon. And I strongly encourage anybody to take part in that. If you've not done it before, I went into it expecting it maybe not to be so fun, and it was a blast. Stack and I did Rotary RLI 1 together, and it was a lot of fun. So, and also the club, in our club goals, we have to have several people participate. So if no one signs up, I will be hounding you. And that is our Rotary Minute for today. Is that, yep. Sure.
So from my perspective as being, a new member, and for the people that maybe haven't got deep in Rotary, but you've been here for a little while, it really let me know a lot about what Rotary was about. It fired me up so much that I went home that day and I signed up for the international convention. So just a little insight on that. So if you don't know a lot, it's really, really exciting. You get a lot out of it. So
that's awesome. Thank you, Zach. And now we will do Happy Bucks.
All right.
Thank you, Keely.
So if you have something you're particularly happy about today, or if you're just delirious from the heat, raise your hand and I will come around and you can have the mic. Who's happy? Come on now. There we go.
My sweet friend had her 4th baby yesterday, and it's a healthy baby girl, which her boys were very excited to get.
I'm happy that we'll be inducting 2 new members today, Laura Troop and Kirsten no, you're Laura. Where's Kirsten? I'm sorry. But anyway, had a chance to get to know them a little better, and glad we're going to be able to introduce them today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can give an applause. Come on now, put your hands together.
On Wednesday, my surgeon released me, so I'm happy about that.
You are looking well.
So I'm really happy. Before I came in here, I horseback riding, and my goal is, I've been doing it for a little while, but my goal is you can picture just an empty field and go as fast as that horse can possibly go. That's my goal, and I'm getting really close to get there. For me, like a lesson or two, so it was a lot of fun. So, anyone wants to go horseback riding, let me know.
Larry Kane.
I'm happy that our speaker is an Auburn graduate, War Eagle.
All right, this side, you got to balance it out. We've only had one from over here. Come on. Who's happy? Everybody's avoiding eye contact. That's awesome. We do take PayPal. All right. I
Okay,
think
so
that's it.
This side of the room's happier than that one. Okay.
That's very clearly.
Okay. And so now I will ask Betsy and Larry to come forward and introduce our new club members.
It's good to be back after a wonderful vacation with all my grandkids, and it's just good to be back to see you guys as well. I would like to ask Laura Troop to come forward, please. While she's coming forward, I'll tell you a little bit about her if you don't already know. She's a graduate of Lipscomb University, and she has a bachelor's in communications and public relations. She worked for Thomas Nelson Publishers for a while, and now is the director of donor relations at Agape. And I think that Tom Burton's probably looking down right now going, yay, we have another Rotarian. So we are so glad to have you, and we want to welcome you as a guest and now as a member. So would you like to say a little something?
Why not? I have heard great things about this organization for many years, and I'm honored to be part of it. I'm excited about what we can do together. I know we're louder together, and I'm just excited about impacting the community and ready to get to know all of you. Thanks.
And I will get you membership.
Kirsten, come on up. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Kristen Scrivener to our club. First, let me tell you the most important thing you need to know about Kristen. She's an Auburn graduate. Yep, there you go. Just want to make sure you knew that. She's a 25-year banker. The last 10 years, she's been at Pinnacle Bank in Brentwood, and a little club karma here. She's in Nancy Boring's, who's you older members will remember Nancy, a member of our club. She's in her office. So we bring some good karma to the club. She and her husband, Frank, who is also in banking, have 2 children, Helen, who's 12, and Mac, who's 11. They love to travel. They just got back from Yellowstone. And while they were out there, they also went whitewater rafting in Montana. She's very active in the community. She serves on the board of directors of Park Center, and she's also on the finance committee at Westminster Presbyterian Church. So please welcome Kirsten to our club. And did I mention she's an Auburn graduate? So.
Thank you so much. I really am excited to be a part of Rotary. So thank you for letting me join, and Larry, thank you for the introduction, and War Eagle.
Kirsten and Laura, you guys indicated that you're excited to be part of this group, and we are super excited to have you be part of this group. So welcome. Now we have a couple of announcements. The first thing is related to the attendance policy. I think there may have been a little bit of confusion after we talked about the change in attendance policy for Rotary International. They are no longer taking attendance. Our club still is, because we think that it's important to have that policy in place so that we don't, get members who show up once in a blue moon and are not, active members of our club. So just wanted to clarify that change in attendance policy is for Rotary International, but not for the Rotary Club of Brentwood. We still have 60% attendance policy in place. So that's that. And then Larry, would you like to talk about golf? Know the answer to that question.
This will be very quick. First, I want to thank this week Jared Tanksley, Roger Greenup, Curry Andrews, and Miss Jordan Nielsen. They sold sponsorships this week. Thank you very much. 36 people in our club have not sold sponsorships. Do not be one of those 36. We have 38 days till our tournament. 38 days. We had 6 months when we first started this, but we got 38 days now, and we need to raise money and we need to sell those existing 47 hole sponsors from last year that we've not received yet. So please help me do that. On your table today, you found a form that you've seen many times before, potential sponsors. And I say it every time I show this form. I guarantee you, you know somebody on this form. Promise you do. Now, what some people used to do with this form was make their clubs write down the names of the people on here. Take this list and go down through and put the name of the people that you know. Who's your insurance agent, your doctor, your grocer, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not asking you to do that. If you want to do that, that'd be great. But use this list. For you to tell me I don't know anybody to call, sorry, I don't believe that. So anyway, let's get to work. 38 days, guys. Thank you very much.
And final announcement is a reminder that early voting is open right now until I think July 30th, right, Betsy? And our early voting place is right across the street at the Brentwood Library, so very convenient for everyone to just go right there and cast your vote. Okay, and now I will ask Louis Rankin to come up and introduce our speaker for the day.
I'm happy to introduce today Paul Stumb. He's president of Cumberland University, and his guest is Courtney Wheeler that you met a little earlier. She's vice president of advancement. They're both Rotarians. Courtney is a Rotarian at Mount Juliet, and Dr. Stumb's a Rotarian at the Noon Lebanon Club, Lebanon, Tennessee Club. A native of Nashville, Dr. Paul Stumb IV was named president of Cumberland University on August 26, 2015. He has served Cumberland since 2003, where he became an adjunct professor, a capacity in which he served for 2 years before becoming dean of the Laborie School of Science, Technology, and Business. During his tenure as president, Cumberland has seen record enrollment growth, record fundraising, and developed a strategic plan that respects the university's rich 180-year history, while positioning it for academic distinction and excellence in the current landscape of higher education. Dr. Stumb holds a BS from Auburn University, Larry, and an MS from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, a master's in education from Cumberland University, and earned his PhD in engineering at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. He is a graduate of the Naval War College Strategy and Policy course and retired from the U.S. Navy Reserves with the rank of commander. He is the recipient of the Navy Commendation Medal, the National Defense Medal, and other awards, commendations, and honors. He has served as an adjunct professor for the National Security Agency, Georgia State University, Shorter College, and Middle Tennessee State University. Prior to joining Cumberland University, Dr. Stumb enjoyed a successful career in the business sector, serving as Director of Marketing and Business Development and later as General Manager of American Corrugated in the Container Board and Packaging Division of the Georgia Pacific Corporation. And he was Vice President for Operations, Executive Committee member, and owner of One Coast Network, and Regional Vice President of Curtis 1000 Inc. Early employment includes assignments with Lockheed Martin Energy Systems, Inc. and Union Carbide Corporation in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Dr. Stumb is a member of numerous professional and honor societies and deeply involved in civic and professional activities. He sits on several boards. He is a member of the Rotary Club of Lebanon, as I'd already told you. Dr. Stumb is very passionate about the success of Cumberland University and works very hard to improve the school. Dr. Stumb.
Thank you all so much for having me today. It's a real privilege to be out here among a few old friends and a lot of new friends here in Brentwood, Tennessee. I told a few of you earlier, I grew up not far from here, just down the street. My uncle had a farm actually out here in Brentwood when I was growing up now many decades ago. And I spent a lot of time out here in Brentwood. And I got to be honest, I don't even recognize it today. It looks so different from 50, 60 years ago when I was growing up just down the street. But I'm so glad to see this vibrant club, and it's an honor for me to be here. I want to thank Lewis Rankin first. He did mention a lot of nice things about me. He did forget to mention I was also the 7th grade spelling bee champion. He talked about almost everything else, but I am grateful for Lewis Rankin. Lewis and his wife Nan have been so instrumental at Cumberland University. He serves on our board of trust and is currently chairman of the advancement committee. He works closely with Courtney Wheeler, my associate, and Lewis has just been a godsend for Cumberland University. Lewis, thank you for all you do, have done, and continue to do for Cumberland. I'm sort of a pseudo academician. A lot of my career was not in the higher ed world, but I found higher ed and loved it. I've been doing that now for more than 20 years. And as a pseudo academician, I have something for you today that Courtney is passing out. I have a pop quiz for you. So I'm going to give each one of you, it's a 10-question multiple choice pop quiz. There's a bonus question, 2 bonus questions actually. I want you to know I've given this quiz in a number of venues and nobody yet has scored 100%. Nobody's made 100. I hope that can be today. If you don't have a pen, I'm sorry I didn't bring any pens, but you'll have to beg, borrow, or steal, or maybe just make a smudge with what's left over from your plate on your answer sheet. These are going to be self-graded. I know in the Rotary world, if you grade it yourselves, it's going to be the truth. It's going to be fair to all concerned. So I trust you all to grade your own papers, but I will give you a couple of minutes to fill out this quick 10-question multiple choice quiz. Anybody finished? Show of hands if you're done. So a few of you, anybody need a little more time? Yeah, all right, a few of you need a little more time. All right, anybody still need more time? Everybody finished? By show of hands, just I want to know how many of you think you made 100? 90? A passing grade? Wow, okay. Well, I'm so glad because I'm going to try to help educate each of you just a little bit on one of the most venerable institutions in this region. By the way, I do need to, and I don't really want to start with a Debbie Downer, but I heard some very disappointing news this morning that you all may have heard as well. Something that we Rotarians have worked really hard on for a long time. Polio now is back in the United States. There's a case, an active case in the US. And so we still have work to do. Yeah, brought it back from Europe, is that right? Well, we still have work to do. And clearly, those of you in this room still have work to do to learn about Cumberland University. So I'm going to try to enlighten you a little bit. As I said, we'll self-grade this quiz, but I have prizes for whomever scores the highest grade. We'll start with number one and take them sequentially. Number one, Cumberland University is older than, I want to see a show of hands. How many think Notre Dame? How many people think Vanderbilt? How many people think UT Knoxville? How many people think the Civil War? How many people don't know? How many people don't care? Okay, good. Thank you for being polite, at least on that. The correct answer, this is arguably the hardest question on the quiz. The correct answer is B and D. B and D. Cumberland University was founded in 1842, the same year as Notre Dame. The same year as Notre Dame. UT Knoxville was founded in 1794. It was actually founded as Blount College in East Tennessee in 1794, older than Cumberland. That year, that same year, Tusculum College up in Upper East Tennessee was founded, and it's the 28th oldest school in the United States, Tusculum College. Cumberland was founded, like I said, in 1842. Vanderbilt University was founded 31 years later in 1873. And of course, the Civil War was in the early 1860s, 61 through 65, about 20 years after Cumberland was founded. All right. So anybody making 100 at this point? Very good. Very good. Excellent. Okay. That's arguably the hardest question on the quiz too. Number two, Cumberland graduate Miles Horton has been called, again, show of hands, A, father of archaeology, B, father of political science, C, father of the civil rights movement, or D, the father of the United Nations? The correct answer, I didn't see anybody's hand go up, is C, the father of the civil rights movement. You got that one too? You're batting 1,000. That's impressive. Miles Horton established the Highlander Folk School up in Monteagle, Tennessee in 1932. And at the Highlander Folk School, over the decades, he taught Rosa Parks, he taught John Lewis, he taught Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he is recognized as the father of the civil rights movement. Cumberland University graduate, Miles Horton. Number three, Cumberland University counts among its most notable alumni, circle all that apply. A, 2 U.S. Supreme Court justices. B, 14 Tennessee State Supreme Court justices. C, more than 80 members of the United States Congress. D, U.S. Secretary of State. E, Nobel Peace Prize winner? F, 21 governors, 7 of whom served the great state of Tennessee? The answer is all of the above. All of the above are graduates of Cumberland University. Horace Harmon Lurton and Howell Edmonds Jackson are our 2 U.S. Supreme Court justices. They both sat, I didn't know this, maybe you all know this, but every U.S. Supreme Court seat has a lineage. They're all numbered. And those 2, our 2 graduates who served in the United States Supreme Court as associate justices, both sat in the same seat, which is today occupied by Justice Sonia Sotomayor. We'll talk a little bit about some of the others. The U.S. Secretary of State and Nobel Peace Prize winner was the same person, Cordell Hull, longest ever serving U.S. Secretary of State, served for 12 years under FDR, graduate of Cumberland University. And do y'all know the local artist, talented artist, Alan LaQuire? Alan LaQuire last year produced a bronze, bigger than life-size statue of Cordell Hull, which sits right outside of my office in front of Memorial Hall on our campus and adorns our campus. We're very proud of our many noteworthy graduates, including Mr. Lewis Rankin, who's a graduate of Cumberland University. He's right up there with Cordell Hull in my book. Number 4, Cumberland has won the most national championships in which of the following sports? How many people think baseball? A. B, volleyball. C, wrestling. D, track. Or E, sports. Well, the truth is, I didn't really think esports was a sport, but we adopted it a couple of years ago. Our AD compelled me to do it. That's not the right answer, by the way. We did add esports. We added esports, and last year, our inaugural year for esports, and we beat the University of Tennessee Knoxville in esports. We beat a lot of really big, prominent schools. We had a national champion in one of those esports. I will tell you that, I mean, it's a lot of sort of this kind of sporting activity, but our coach, a guy named Spencer Claypool, Coach Claypool makes those guys get out there and run and do push-ups and sit-ups. And so he is actually, he views them as an athletic team, and they do compete. It's gaming. It's digital, video gaming. It's called esports. And they do it they compete with their thumbs on these little devices. And I couldn't begin to do it. And I've told you all I know about it. But I do know they have an expensive facility on our campus with these big screens up around the wall and these big plush leather chairs. And that's what they sit in those chairs and they game. And I also know, by the way, when our AD was talking to me about starting this sport, he said, now look, Paul, he said, you need to understand this sport will attract a lot of students, and it does. They want to come compete. And it requires no travel money, no referees. I mean, the expenses of doing this are really low. So I kind of like esports for those reasons. We've had they do have a coach. No, they have a coach. Oh, yeah. We have 3 national championships in baseball. We won the national championship in baseball in 2004, 2010, and 2014 under venerable coach Woody Hunt. Woody Hunt coached at Cumberland for 43 years. He has 1,630 wins. He retired last year. And when he retired, he was the number 6 all-time winningest college baseball coach in the nation. So Coach Woody Hunt, venerable coach, has now retired. But the sport that was the correct answer to this is wrestling, number C, item C. We've had 5 individual national champion wrestlers: Keith Cupp in 2005, Corey Blinken in 2011, Jake Williams in 2014 and 15. And earlier this year, Cole Smith, an amazing, just a moose. He won the 165-pound weight class national championship in wrestling. He came into my office a couple of months ago where I could congratulate him and give him a little award from Cumberland. And he already had all, the big national awards. But I tried to do a single leg takedown on him. It wasn't very successful. I outweigh him by a lot, too. Number 5. Cliff Ellis began his college basketball coaching career at Cumberland. How many programs has he taken to the NCAA tournament? How many people think A, 1, B, 2, C, 3, or D, 4? The correct answer is 4. He's taken 4 different teams to the NCAA tournament. He took South Alabama, where when he left Cumberland, he went to South Alabama. Next, he took Clemson University, to the NCAA tournament. Thirdly, he took Auburn University. Coach Cliff Ellis took Auburn University, head coach at Auburn University basketball program, to the national tournament, NCAA tournament. And now he's currently coaching at Coastal Carolina University, and he took them to the NCAA tournament too. He has more than 170 wins at each one of those 4 schools. And he's currently he's still coaching, but he's number 15 on the all-time winningest college basketball coaches in the world. And he's right behind now Rick Byrd, who's retired, of course, from Belmont, and Eddie Sutton. So Coach Cliff Ellis. Our basketball court at Cumberland is named in honor of Coach Ellis. As I said, he's still coaching at Coastal Carolina. He visits us often. He's a remarkable man. Okay, who's making 100 now still? Still 100? No? No? Dick's making 100? Is it the truth? You have to apply the 4-way test here. All right, number 6, flipping over to the back. If you didn't notice, there's a back side to this. 10 questions. Question number 6, on 7 October 1916, Cumberland University went to Atlanta to play Georgia Tech. The final score of the game was A, B, C, D. That's right. The final score was 222-0. Biggest margin of victory ever in the history of college football. Unfortunately, Cumberland was not on the winning end of that score. Cumberland was defeated by Georgia Tech on October 7th, 1916, by the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech. But the story is, and I'll give you the brief version of this, and I actually have a copy of a book. There have been 2 books written about that game. I have one of those with me today as a prize for 2 of you. I have 2 copies of that book. Do you know who the coach of Georgia Tech was in 1916? John Heisman. That's right. John Heisman was the coach of the Georgia Tech football team. And John Heisman was also, this is not uncommon back in the day, he was also the head coach of the Georgia Tech baseball program. And in the spring of 1916, John Heisman brought his baseball team up to Lebanon, Tennessee to play Cumberland in baseball. Well, the coach at Cumberland purportedly went down to the Sulphur Dell and recruited a bunch of semi-pro baseball players and put Cumberland jerseys on them. And he spanked Heisman's baseball team 22-0. 22-0. So the following fall, we didn't actually have, as the score might suggest, a football team in 1916. It was the beginning, right at the beginning of World War I, and our boys had not yet gone into battle, but were preparing for war. We didn't have a football team. But George Allen, who was sort of he was a graduate student in law school at Cumberland at the time, but he was sort of what we would call an AD today. He had failed to notify John Heisman and Georgia Tech that we didn't have a team and weren't going to be able to play that fall. And so when he called down to Georgia Tech and said, we can't come play you, Heisman was still sore about that baseball loss. And he said, well, you're going to come play or I'm going to sue you for breach of contract. So George Allen put together a team of 14 boys from the Kappa Sigma fraternity and the men's choral group. None of them had played football, but he put them on a train and they went to Atlanta, Georgia, and played the Ramblin' Wreck. The final score of the game was 222-0. A lot of interesting things about that game. Perhaps most notable is the fact there were no earned first downs in the entire game. Every time Georgia Tech touched the ball, they scored, and Cumberland never got a first down. So Georgia Tech scored 33 touchdowns in that game. The score would have been higher, but they missed several of their extra points. The highest scoring player in the game was the Georgia Tech extra point kicker. He made, I think it was 16 or 17 extra points. Anyway, it is a fascinating story, true story, probably a record which will never be beat. By the way, in the fall of 1916, I'd only been president at Cumberland for a couple of years at that point, but I called down to Georgia Tech to my colleague at Georgia Tech, and I said, would you like to do a rematch on the 100th year anniversary in 2016? And he was not interested in doing a rematch that year. So I was disappointed, really. I thought that could have been kind of fun. We would have probably lost about the same score, but nevertheless, would have been fun. All right, number 7. Which of the following Cumberland graduates was the first to become governor of Tennessee? Now, if you remember back to question number 3, we had 21 graduates of Cumberland University serve as governor, 7 of whom served as the governor of the great state of Tennessee. 14 served other states as governor. But these 4, and I'll give you a clue, all 4 of these served as governor of Tennessee. Which one was first? How many think A, B, C, or D? Correct answer is D, Edward East. Edward East was the first Cumberland grad to serve as governor of this great state, and he served in 1865 when he was appointed to fill the unexpired term of Andrew Johnson when Andrew Johnson was elected vice president. So Johnson was elected vice president. Edward East was appointed. He served for 32 days as governor of the great state of Tennessee. William Bate was the second. He served in 1883. Gordon Browning served in 1949, was elected in 1949. And Frank Clement, who's the brother of, well, the father of former Cumberland president and Congressman Bob Clement, who many of you may know Bob and Mary Clement. They live in Nashville now. Great folks. Bob was president of Cumberland a while back before he ran for Congress, and is a super guy. But Frank Clement, his father, was the first governor to serve as both a 2-year governor and a 4-year. He was the last 2-year governor of the state of Tennessee in 1953. He served to 55, then was reelected to a 4-year term. So he served for 6 years. Then he had to go out of office, which he did. And then he was reelected in 1963 and served in 1967. Frank Clement was also the youngest governor ever to be elected to this state. He was 32 years old when he was elected governor. And he was the first Southern governor to veto a bill on segregation. So Frank Clement did a lot of good things, in my mind, at least. Edward East is the correct answer to that question, though, item D. Number 8, Cumberland graduate William Hardy founded which of the following Mississippi cities? A, B, C, or D? Correct answer is D, all of the above, all of the above. Mike, did you get that? All right. You're first. I'm proud of you. All right. Well, these cities, William Hardy was CEO of the Gulf and Ship Island Railroad. And as a part of his responsibilities, he got to define where the railroad tracks were built. And he formed those cities around the railroad when that railroad was built. And he had 3 wives. This is interesting, I think. He had 3 wives, not all at the same time. But he, by the way, a friend of mine recently told me he was thinking about getting remarried. And I said to him, I said, you know, I thought you were already married. Don't you have a wife? He said, yeah. He said, I have a wife. He said, but I'm thinking about taking another one. Don't you think that'd be awful bigamy? Sorry. Hardy had 3 wives, but not all at the same time. He had them sequentially. And what I think is really most interesting, though, is that he had 12 children. He had 6 with his first wife, whose name was Sally Ann Johnson. By the way, the last of those 6 children, he named Jefferson Davis Hardy. He had 3 with his second wife, Hattie Lott, for whom Hattiesburg was named. And he had 3 with his third wife, Laurel Stevens, for whom Laurel, Mississippi was named. Now, interesting to me, at least, his 11th child, the second of his 3 children with his third wife, his 11th of 12 children, was named William Harris Hardy Jr. I just thought that was odd, right? To name your 11th child a junior. So anyway, he had some notoriety. Number 9, Cumberland alumnus, Cumberland alumnus William E. Ward is responsible for founding what prominent Nashville school? A, MBA, B, Harpeth Hall, C, the University School of Nashville, or D, Branham and Hughes? Nobody guessed Branham and Hughes? That's not the correct answer, but I'm just curious. Nobody? All right. The correct answer is the Harpeth Hall School of Nashville. Any Harpeth Hall graduates in here? Any Harpeth Hall alums? Let me tell you a little bit about William E. Ward. William E. Ward was a theologian. He studied theology at Cumberland University, and he was around during the Civil War period. In the school, one of the primary buildings on our campus was burned to the ground during the Civil War. And William E. Ward was walking around campus looking at the charred remains of this beautiful building on our campus. And he took a piece of coal and wrote on one of the Corinthian columns that was down vertical in the ground, white Corinthian column. He wrote the Latin word resurgam. Any Latin scholars in here? Resurgam is Latin for I will arise. And that gave birth to our mantra of the Phoenix. We are now the Cumberland Phoenix, based on William E. Ward. And we have a tradition at our school now. We do it every year at convocation. We'll do it in just a few weeks when we welcome back the largest ever, by the way, incoming class of students at Cumberland University. At our annual convocation, we have every student take on an index card and write on the back of it. We have the alma mater on one side. We sing the alma mater. On the other side, there's just some blank lines, and we ask every student to write some fear, some concern, some trepidation they have about their ability to succeed in college and earn a college degree. And then we have this huge Phoenix fire pit where the phoenixes are rising from the flames, big stainless steel, beautiful monument fire pit on our campus. And the students take out and commit that fear to the fire. And we love that tradition. And it was started by William E. Ward back in 1865, or based on what he wrote on that column. Yes, sir. So William E. Ward founded the Ward Seminary in 1865. And in 1913, Ward Belmont, that Ward Seminary evolved into the Ward Belmont School. My mother went to high school at Ward Belmont for her first 2 years, and she did her last 2 years at the Harpeth Hall School. Harpeth Hall, in 1951, the Ward Belmont School split into two. It split into the Harpeth Hall School, which was a high school and for young ladies, and Belmont College, which today is known as Belmont University. So William E. Ward is arguably the founder of what is today the Harpeth Hall School. You're exactly right. Thank you for knowing that. Branham and Hughes, by the way, was founded in 1892. It was a military school, and it was originally a military academy down near Vanderbilt. William Brannan and William Hughes were the founders. Just coincidentally, William Hughes happens to be my great-grandfather on my mother's side. So the William Hughes and William Branham founded Branham and Hughes, and it moved out to Spring Hill in 1897. So down in Murray County. Number 10, and last before we get to the bonus questions. Which of the following schools accept students under the Tennessee Promise Scholarship that our previous governor started? Circle all that apply. How many think A, Lipscomb University, B, MTSU, C, University of Tennessee, D, Tennessee Tech, great school over in Cookeville, or E, Cumberland University? The correct answer is E and only E. None of those other schools accept students on the Tennessee Promise. None of them. Cumberland University does. Their Tennessee Promise. Tennessee Promise is the program that Governor Haslam started to provide free tuition for the first 2 years of college for any student that graduates from a high school in the state of Tennessee. And we honored that program from its inception in 2015. And today we have a number of Tennessee Promise students on our campus. They pursue associate degrees. Now, the truth is we offer obviously baccalaureate degrees and graduate degrees as well, but we also, because we offer associate degrees, we are authorized by the state of Tennessee to accept Tennessee Promise students, and we do. And none of these other fine institutions accept students on the Tennessee Promise program. By the way, just so you know, this year, well, I'll give you data for last year, last academic year. We're getting ready to start our new year, which is going to be, we're going to have more students. We're going to have a record enrollment. But last year we had students from 65 of the 95 counties across the state of Tennessee. We had students from 39 of the 50 states throughout the US, and we had students from 41 countries. So we have a very diverse student body. In fact, we have 2 students. I met with both of them in the past month. One young lady named Lena from the Ukraine, and her father and grandparents are all still in the Ukraine. It's just a horrible situation. And we have a new student coming in this fall who's coming to us from Afghanistan. She escaped from Afghanistan. She was accosted and beat up by the Taliban at the airport, but managed to escape from Afghanistan. And she's enrolling at Cumberland this fall. So we're very excited about that. Yes, sir. Yeah, no, I didn't. We're right at 3,000 students. And so we're a small school, but growing. And we're very proud of the diversity that we have, and we want to continue to grow. And you know, the beauty of it, frankly, is, and y'all know this better than anybody, I was talking with your president earlier about the housing prices here in Middle Tennessee. It's astounding how many people are moving here, and we are a beneficiary of that influx, that immigration of people from all over the world. Really, everybody wants to live in Middle Tennessee, and you know, for those of us who are from around here, we understand why. But it has been great. You know, the higher education world is increasingly, like a lot of businesses, becoming increasingly competitive. And we all know that there's a demographic cliff coming in a few years. 16 years ago, 18 years in 2025, there just weren't very many babies born. So the people graduating from high school in 2025, that number we know statistically is dropping. We believe we're a little bit insulated from that because of where we are geographically. And there are going to be a lot of students still graduating from high schools and wanting to be here in Middle Tennessee. We also know that there are going to be a lot of poachers coming into Middle Tennessee trying to get those students. So we got to remain competitive. We're focused on continuous improvement in everything we do. Okay, that I think completes the quiz. 10 questions. Did anybody make 100? We have 2 bonus questions. Anybody make a 90? 80? Gosh, y'all are being really honest. That's good. You heeded that first adage in the 4-way test. 70, 30? Anybody beat a 30? 40, 50? All right. I see 60, 70, 60. All right. I think you're the grand prize winner. Courtney, do we have a prize for that? He's right over here. Yeah. Way to go, Michael. I do have 2 bonus questions. Cumberland University is home to the papers of what former U.S. president? We have a presidential papers project at Cumberland University, which you may not reckon. I mean, the University of Virginia has Thomas Jefferson's papers, and the Andrew Jackson papers are at the University of Tennessee. But Cumberland is home to a presidential papers project. Does anybody know what president that was? No, not Andrew Johnson, not Jackson. Anybody know the 8th U.S. president? His name was Martin Van Buren. Martin Van Buren. His papers are at Cumberland University. Martin Van Buren, by the way, interestingly, was the only U.S. president for whom English was not his native language. Does anybody know what Martin Van Buren's native language, his first language he learned was? Dutch. That's correct. Dutch. Very good. Give that guy a prize. That's good. We have the papers of Martin Van Buren, and I'll tell you why we haven't. We don't really have any connection to Martin Van Buren other than we have a history professor at Cumberland who's a real Jacksonian scholar, and Martin Van Buren was, in that era as the 8th president. And this scholar of ours, a history professor, came to me and our provost several years ago now and said, hey, the Martin Van Buren Papers Project, they're up at the University of Pennsylvania, and they're kind of flailing up there, and they've advertised if another university wants to apply for this, can we do it? And I thought, sure, go ahead, apply. I thought there's no chance he'd ever get them. But I thought it was kind of like the dog that chased the car and then it caught it. What do we do? He got the grant, he got the papers, and we have thousands now of handwritten documents. So we didn't have word processors back in the Martin Van Buren day, but thousands of handwritten documents from Martin Van Buren, which we're in the process of transcribing and digitizing so scholars can see those letters and documents that Van Buren produced. And by the way, it's very difficult because not only was the language a bit different back in that era, but the handwriting, the cursive handwriting. Most of our students today can't even read that. They can't read Martin Van Buren, and it is difficult. I will tell you, I have tried to do it myself, and it's a challenge. Last bonus question. What football team defeated Vanderbilt, Alabama, LSU, and Tulane, all 4 in the same season in 1903? Cumberland University. That's right. Cumberland. We beat all 4 of those teams. Admittedly, 118 years ago, but we did it, and we're very proud of that. By the way, we beat Alabama 44-0. I want to thank you all. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to entertain them. Yes, sir. Our tuition is right at $25,000 a year, and then room and board's about another $9,000, $10,000. So all up for residential students, we're at $35,000. But we have a lot of scholarships. I want to tell you, we have a lot of very generous supporters, people like Lewis and Nan Rankin, who have been so generous. We have a number of endowed scholarships. We have a number of annual scholarships. Our local Rotary clubs provide scholarships for us. So almost none of our students pay that full price. But thank you for asking that. And by the way, you can go to Cumberland for the first 2 years for free because the state pays for that. So, I mean, you can instantly cut that in half if you participate in the Tennessee Promise Program. Yes, sir. You know, that's a great question too. If you look at it in terms of enrollment, which is one way to arguably describe what your top majors are, the most in-demand majors, our nursing major is really strong. We were the only school in the state of Tennessee last year to have 100% pass rate on the state licensing exam called the NCLEX. We were top of the heat. We beat Vanderbilt, we beat UT, we beat every other school in the state in the NCLEX pass rate percentage at 100%. Nursing, we have really strong business and accounting degrees. We have a strong criminal justice program. We have a strong teacher education program, no matter what Larry Arn says. We have really good academic programs across the board. But thank you for asking that. Yes, sir.
Actually, I was there the day they unveiled that protocol statute.
Were you?
And heard Al Gore speak. It was an awesome day to be there.
Thank you.
And my question is, I know you guys used to have a law school. I don't know if there's a chance you might ever have one again, but in terms of other program offerings, what are some of the things that Cumberland is considering?
Great question. And let me answer that 2 ways. First, I want to say we are really well known for our former law school, which a lot of our most notable graduates, obviously our 2 U.S. Supreme Court justices and others are graduates from the law school. We had some financial hard times back in the 1950s and early 1960s. In 1961, the law school was sold to Samford University, and it's still called the Cumberland School of Law, but it's down in Birmingham, Alabama now. And we had former Vice President Al Gore on campus to unveil that statue. We are not going to get back in the law business. Frankly, there's 6 other law schools in the state of Tennessee right now. And in fact, recently, y'all may remember this, Sidney McPhee, who's the president down at MTSU, was in negotiations to purchase the Valparaiso Law School and move it to Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And the State Higher Education Commission said, no, you're not going to do it. We got too many law schools already and too many law. I mean, frankly, if you earn a law degree today, the jobs aren't really too prevalent. So we're not going to start another law school. We are looking at we're adding 4 new majors this fall. We're adding a new major, undergraduate business major in supply chain management, one in project management. We're doing a new online BBA degree, Bachelor of Business Administration. We had that degree, but we're doing it now, making it fully available online. And am I out of time? I'm sorry. Is that what that signal is? You just got another question? Okay. And we're looking at more graduate programs as well, particularly in the health arenas. Yes, ma'am.
You wouldn't happen to have a father named Paul and a mother named Mary, would you?
I would indeed. Do you know that?
I did know your dad, and I do know your mom, and we were in a Southeastern Clinical Society meeting together. So we've known them for years, but you look just like your dad to me. I just want to say.
You know, it would be a compliment if you told me I look more like my mom, but thank you for that.
You're a cross.
Thank you. My parents are both, I was talking to somebody else about my parents. They both still live in Nashville. They're 88 years old and in an amazingly good health. Both of my grandmothers lived to be more than 100 years old. So, I tell my wife, I might be around for a while, honey. Thank you for mentioning that. I'm very proud of my parents. Any other questions? Thank you all for letting me be with you today. I've enjoyed it.
So we want to thank Dr. Stumb for speaking to our club today. And in doing so, we would like for you to have a pen with our club logo. And with that pen, we'd like for you to sign this book that our club reads to first graders. And when we read the book to the first graders, we tell them about the speaker that we had that day who signed our book.
Tell them about the funny bald-headed guy for today.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you. I'm honored to do so. And this is a great Rotary project.
It is. It really is.
That's right. If you, we like to recruit them young.
Yep. We'll start recruiting for
Thank you for
Cumberland.
the pen.
Absolutely.
Very nice.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Appreciate you.
So want to re-welcome Laura and Kirsten to the club and ask that everyone, as usual, help put away the tables and chairs. And if there's nothing else for the good of Rotary, we are adjourned.
Yeah.